Why do you support Trump?
Um, I just think everything about him is kind of cool. You know what I mean? For one, he's like a man. You know, he knows what he's doing, and he seems to get done in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? And yeah, and I like him for other reasons too that are just like funny that you would probably never understand. You know, because you get angry about little things.
Okay, so he's a man. What about him being? I have a question. If Kamala, have you ever watched the movie Freaky Friday?
I have, as a matter of fact.
If Kamala Harris and Donald Trump swapped bodies, would you vote for Donald Trump and Kamala Harris's body, or Kamala Harris and Donald Trump's body?
Jesus Christ, that is the strangest question I've ever been asked. Even my girlfriend was just like, "That's a good question." What do you mean? Okay, say, oh, I don't know. All I can see right now is Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis's haircut.
No,
So
I don't think women should leave because of our estrogen.
all I'm saying is that listen, what happened with Kamala Harris? She kind of got placed and put there, and it was kind of disappointing.
Before we do,
because it was-
before I understand everything you're going to say. We can talk about that here in a second. You should answer the
Sure.
question that I specifically am asking you, right? If Kamala Harris and Donald Trump swap bodies, would you support Kamala Harris and Donald Trump's body, or Donald Trump and Kamala Harris's body?
That's a really good one, man. I'm gonna
I still
say
don't support women as leaders.
yes. I would still go with
Wow.
Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, and Donald Trump's body, and hopefully that he would have some like
Oh,
following.
okay. Wait,
You know,
wait. So,
JD Vance will be there to
oh, wait. So just to clarify,
Leave because of estrogen.
it has
That's a
nothing to
weird
do. It has nothing to do with the policies. Has nothing to do with the characteristics of either candidate. Has everything
No,
to do
not
with the
at all.
fact that they are just a man. It's literally
Yeah,
just their
absolutely.
biology. Like you are not
Yeah,
supporting him based
absolutely.
upon any specific characteristic.
No, yeah, absolutely, no, yeah, for sure. You know, I just don't really like Kamala
That's
Harris.
just
and, like,
that's
her
just like
laughing
so obvious that that's misogyny.
No, okay, but how about we talk about something
it's
real?
that women have
Stacey, stop.
estrogen. No, because you just didn't.
How about we talk about
explain-
something real for a second? Okay, because I know this is your last debate of the night, and I would love to talk about something real. I've waited for a while. I've listened to a lot of, and I would like to, I wanted to chit chat with you, Parker. You know, I've been watching you for a bit.
So you want to chat with me, but you just engaged in utter misogyny. Right, that's what
Yes.
misogyny is. That's when you say
Oh, 100%.
specifically
I'm a
the
total
only
badass
reason,
girl.
literally the only reason you voted for Donald
But
Trump
you listen to
is
me,
the
and
fact
It's 'cause I'm a female, and it's because of
Yeah.
estrogen. Women cannot lead because
men have
they're-
estrogen too.
No, they don't.
Yes,
Do
they
we?
do. Yes, we do.
Not enough. Not,
No,
not
women
as much as
have
Parker.
testosterone and estrogen. I don't think men have estrogen.
Men
Okay,
do have estrogen.
Anyway, do we? I don't really know
I
about
don't
that.
know. I'm certain they don't.
Now my girls go to fuck.
That's, I don't
Why'd
know.
you have to open this can of words, Parker? We could have just had a nice little conversation. You get a Freaky Friday, my ass. Jesus.
I'm sorry I asked tough questions that you're not ready
But
to
he's
answer.
right.
Yeah,
He is
some-
right.
yeah.
He is right. It does say that.
Okay, so Parker wins on that one. So
Wait,
yes.
hold up. Let me ask. Do you believe that you shouldn't vote for someone just because they're a woman?
No, absolutely not.
To
But at the same
That's what you
time,
just
though,
said.
I think women. I know. Actually, you know what? I do actually believe that.
You do believe that? Well, can I ask? Wait, can I
don't
wait?
think
Can I
women are
ask?
fit to lead.
Can I
I
ask?
don't think women are fit to
Can I
lead.
ask your girlfriend real quick?
Sure.
Would you believe? Would you not vote for someone, or do you think that you should not vote for someone just because they're a woman?
Yes, he followed me. I was the one that said that.
Okay, no, but do
Wait,
you
wait.
think
So
would
you,
vote for?
yeah.
No, so I wouldn't vote for a woman to lead because I do think we're too emotionally charged. We're led by emotions. Like we could be amazing to lead for like 2 weeks out of the month,
What are
3
you?
weeks out of the month.
Well, I'm sorry.
But I
I'm
would
sorry.
not trust
Have you
us.
been around men at all?
I've lived with men.
Okay. Do you know how emotional men are?
I don't get along with women.
Well, no, men like we
Men are-
Yes, I do. All
Men
my
are
friends
so
men.
men are so emotional. Have you ever been
If
in
you
a gaming
respect
lobby?
them-
He's got a point, Stace. You gotta back this up, okay? Like I was gonna like have a fun time with Parker here, but
I'm
like
listening.
okay. Here's
Stop
the
talking.
thing.
I'm trying to listen.
Yes, okay. Men are emotional, but yeah, sorry, go on.
Like I don't think that you can categorize that women are like so emotional and like more emotional, right? That's ridiculous. There's no good evidence
Women are
empirically
too
to
competitive against other women, though.
Well, Parker, do you have
wait,
a
wait. I
girlfriend?
thought I thought a masculine characteristic is competitiveness.
Yeah.
So are you
men
are you saying that women are too masculine? Is that what you're saying?
No. When did I say that men are competitive? No, women are competitive against women. Men are biologically, they are made for
Lead.
safety protection.
Yeah, like,
lead.
if you look at like general
Um,
biology of it, we lead and we are to protect. You know what I mean? Whereas like,
Wait,
that's why I just
I'm
think
sorry.
Kamala
Lead and
Harris would
protect. Lead and
implement
protect. You know,
policies.
both parents do that in a relationship, right? Both
Not
parents,
really.
I'm not saying that
regardless
like,
of gender, they provide, they protect,
Mhm.
especially when we're talking
No,
about
it's
families.
not, but that's why there's more broken families now than ever before, right? And that's because we're all trying to play that woo, we're all equal.
He's got a point.
When you say there's a
Right?
lot of broken families, there are broken families that existed prior. They were just forced into cultural conditions where they stayed together even though the families were broken.
It was
So
better
what
for
you're
the
not
children, though. At the end of the day,
I don't think wait.
regardless-
Are you saying that abuse rates over time have gone up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you give me a
I would
source?
say so.
I would absolutely say so. Just personal experience, looking around, especially since COVID.
I just
Yeah,
no.
I would
Can you give me a source for that?
And I think that the abuse rates have
No, she can't give you an actual source, but I think that like
but
she's
just like looking around.
she generally goes off of like instinct. So that's where I think
Because
women do
I
thrive.
love talking to people. I love like just learning people's stories. And
But
stuff.
she's a Trump supporter though. Parker, so, like, she voted for Trump also.
But I'm not like hardcore Trump. Like I like to like look at.
So like ask her why she thinks she likes Trump.
Yeah. Why do you like Trump?
Why do you like Trump, Stacey?
I like Trump because of his leadership, because of the long-term difference he'll make in the world. I have a lot of family in Canada, and even they said that Canada was going downhill without Trump. They apparently got rid of, what was his name? Pierre?
No, Justin Trudeau. No,
Oh, Justin Trudeau.
I don't know if he's
Because
still there or
of
not.
apparently Trump.
Yeah, so I don't know. For me though,
But
like
I do believe
Can you
that
give
he
me
wants-
can you give me one Trump policy that would make a positive long-term difference?
immigration.
What immigration policy?
Well, just closing the border up. Like I think about 10 million people came over the border in the last like 4 years, and I think there's only been about like literally like I would say like a tenth of that has come in so far.
Okay,
Okay,
as like
you
just
said the border. So you didn't give me a specific policy. You said the amount of people coming. So did you know at the end
Okay,
of
so we'll say like
I
maybe
just want to
you're
clarify.
in
I just want to
Mexico.
clarify. Did you know at the end of Donald Trump's first administration, there were more people on a daily average coming to the country than there was the end of Biden's administration?
Oh,
Sorry.
I didn't actually know that, but I do know like the overall. I do know the overall statistics of what was going on during Biden's entire, his tenure with.
So then,
in the White House.
here's my question: are you saying that after all the policy was implemented from the first year of Biden's administration and the first year of Donald Trump's administration, or first term, given
Yes.
to the very end, right? Once the policies were all implemented, are you saying at that point it was better with Biden than it was with Trump?
No, 100% not. I think once they got rid of Remain in Mexico, I think that was definitely an incredibly big mistake, and I think that
Wait, why did Donald Trump
anybody with
only
a
implement?
logical brain would know that was, and I think that people like
Wait,
AOC,
why did Donald Trump
perpetuating
only?
things like?
I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry. I have to ask
Sorry,
this question.
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Why
Sorry,
did
go ahead.
Donald Trump only implement Remain in Mexico in 2019? I'm sorry, I had to ask this question.
I don't. You know what? That's an incredibly good question. I will give. I don't actually know the answer to that, but I will say this: I think Remain in Mexico was an incredibly good policy. Because I did actually see what was kind of going on there with people that were kind of crossing the border and stuff like that. And people are being ripped away from their families and stuff, but not every single time were they being ripped away from their families. They were, maybe perhaps being ripped away from somebody who was trying to exploit them and like take them and sell them into, some sort of like into some sort of like, I have no idea, human trafficking situation. It's just like any other situation in America that we have. Like if there's a crime committed, the first thing they do is they separate everybody in that situation. They want to make sure everybody is who they are. So I think that was a really good policy that Biden kind of went.
So I have a question. You think Remain in Mexico reduces how many people are persecuted?
I don't think it actually came all the way to fruition. I think that it was like you said, it was in 2019. I just want to clarify. Actually got the legs.
No, do you think Remain in Mexico reduces persecution?
I don't know what you mean by persecution.
Like
nobody's getting like hung up by their legs. You know what I mean? This isn't Iran.
The basis of the asylum laws is based upon the fact that you're persecuted based upon a certain protected class. So
but only if you come in through a port of entry, right?
No, I mean you only have to come in through a port of entry because of Biden's law that he passed through an executive order. Otherwise, there wasn't an executive order for anyone going through the asylum process to go through any specific process through going through the border. They just have to identify within a certain period of time within the country.
Okay, well, can I ask you a question, right, Parker? I know that you're actually, listen, I follow you. I've seen your shit. You know what I mean? I love DNC Disney and all that. You guys are pretty. You guys, I like you guys. All right.
What do you mean by DNC? What do you mean by DNC Disney?
Because you're like the the teen channel. You're like YTV. For the Democrat Party.
If I'm for the DNC, why am I banned?
Banned from what?
TikTok. I'm on my 3rd account right now.
Am I not on TikTok? You are. Well, listen, I don't know. That's good. You got still 3,000 people on here right now. That's pretty dope.
I have a question. What state do you live in?
California.
What time is
Alameda. Right now?
Yeah.
Babe, what time is it? 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Can you name 3 cities in California?
What do you mean?
Can you name 3 cities in California?
Why?
Just do it real
Like,
quick.
do you want I live in Alameda, San Francisco. Like, where do you want me to go from there? Los Angeles, fucking.
Okay. What's the cap?
Nevada.
Okay. What's the capital of California?
What the fuck is the capital of California? I actually do know this because I was actually there. What the fuck was it? Tell me, what? I just smoked a joint, man. So give me a little break. You're putting me on the
You can't
spot.
say that online.
What do you mean, Sacramento? Sacramento.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. My grandparents live in Sacramento. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did she wait?
Sorry, man. You kind of caught me off guard there. I was just talking about hilarious things that I thought you would think were I was talking about Harry. I was worried about him and you guys, your friendship.
No. Wait.
Yeah,
wait.
so-
I have a question. Did she say Nevada?
No, she said yeah. Did you say Nevada? No, she said Alameda.
When did I say that? I don't know.
Well, she's from Oakland, so I don't really know. But
I was throwing out random names.
yeah, she was throwing out random names. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my God, you're quizzing me. You don't believe me. Why would I lie about something?
No, it's just because the chat was spamming that you're Canadian for some reason.
Canadian? No, actually, she just said that she has family in Canada. So, and
Yeah, I do have a lot of fan. Yeah, we came over, which is by the way, which was a heck of a parent test for my mom, my dad, and my uncle to pass to become an American citizen.
So, anyways, Parker, I got to ask you a question. Why do you hate Donald Trump so much? Do you want to see Donald Trump fail so badly that you would like to see the falling of America?
America is not going to fall if someone else is president other than Donald Trump.
Okay, who do you like more, AOC or Ilhan Omar?
I don't categorize who I like more, but can you instead of just moving the topic, can I please address what we were particularly saying? The only reason the prices slightly decreased a little bit in terms of the inflation rate, which is it's not the prices decrease, is that the rate of increase in prices diminished a little bit, is because of the fact that we went from multiple percentage points increase in real GDP, right, for several quarters to a 0.3% decline overall, right, real GDP in Q1 2025 because Donald Trump imposed disastrous tariffs that negatively impact the American economy.
Okay, but what tariffs do you think really were disastrous? If you could pick one that really
it's the Liberation Day tariffs, the imposition and then pause that caused such a harm and uncertainty in the market.
But that's the thing, right? Because he is trying to bring people to the table. Because isn't he just trying to level the playing field? Isn't that what he said he was going to do? That's why we all voted for him, right?
He's not actually leveling the playing field. I can give you multiple examples how he's not. Can I give you multiple examples how he's not? For example, he had the USMCA with Canada and Mexico, right, where that actually reduced tariffs. Then he increased tariffs on Canada and Mexico to tariffs that they did not have on us. Secondly, he placed tariffs on an island inhabited by penguins with no exports or imports. What did the penguins do?
I don't know. We'll have to ask Morgan Freeman about that one. But at the same time, hasn't inflation gone down a little bit? And yes, you are right. The penguins do not deserve to take any bullshit.
It's not good that inflation went down in the manner that it did. It would have gone down actually quicker in other ways because it is the case that the only reason it went down the marginal rate that it did, right, is because it is the case that we saw a decrease in real GDP. Actually, we saw the Federal Reserve not reduce the particular target rates as quickly as he possibly would have otherwise, because it is the case that they were expecting to see more inflation because of Donald Trump's tariff policy. If Kamala Harris were president, they would have decreased the target rate quicker, which would have likely led to a quicker landing and lower interest rates.
Sure, that's very fair. But can I ask you a question? With Elon Musk and Donald Trump's falling out, how do you feel about that?
He doesn't like address anything I said. Okay. How do I feel about Elon Musk and Donald? I think it's just showing of the showing of the disunity within their party and what Elon's willing to say once there's nothing for him to lose.
But did you? Okay, I did see you once say, and you were pretty adamant about it. Like, do you really believe that he was throwing up a Hitler salute at that
Yes.
one? You really do. You actually believe that. Your
Yeah.
whole heart of hearts, really. Parker, come on, really,
Yeah.
really. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so, but why would he do that? And what form of white supremacy is he kind of preaching to? You know what I mean? It's not like, you know, American history.
The thing is, I don't know the full extent of what his ideology is on this, but I do know that he intentionally did a Nazi salute.
But how do you know he did it intentionally if you don't know his actual intent?
Well, he did it twice, and it is the case that he's given his heart out to the crowd by doing
Yes.
this in other circumstances, which is
But
totally
didn't I-
different than what he did.
Okay, well, listen, it didn't look very great, but at the same time, just like, wasn't he with Ben Shapiro, like down at like Auschwitz, like not too long ago in Israel, and like doing things like that? Like, don't you think it's a little bit crazy to think that?
How does that change whether or not he did a Nazi salute there?
Because it's just so ridiculous. Like, yeah, the intention of it. Like, I just don't see it. Like, he is he's the billionaire in the market of America, and like, he was obviously quite a MAGA member for.
See,
quite a
I
while.
don't know
Like,
what his purposes were, but I can likely indicate his intention.
okay. Do you think Donald Trump is a racist?
Yes, in terms of the racism, he didn't run to
Yes.
black people in the 1970s. He called for the execution of the Central Park Five when they were exonerated based upon DNA evidence. He popularized
Yeah,
the
I know
birther
that
movement.
happened in like
Let me please finish.
2018,
He
but it was like Al Sharpton and
not
all them gave it
2018.
first.
Not
Yeah.
2018.
When was
way
it?
earlier. So
No,
let
I
me
know,
let
I
me let me
remember.
finish
I
my
know.
points. Let me finish my
Yeah, you
points.
finish all of it. Okay, you go. You go. Sorry, my bad.
He popularized the birther movement, saying that Barack Obama was born in Kenya with no sufficient evidence when there's a birth certificate of him born in the United States to undermine him in a position of presidency. Right? He also said that Kamala Harris turned black, and he increased the amount of violence targeted towards the Haitian community in the United States because he assumed that Haitian immigrants that were coming to the country, right, were specifically eating cats and dogs, which was a total lie.
Okay, okay? First and foremost, okay. Well, we'll start from the. We'll start from the beginning. With the Central Park Five. Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson actually kind of gave him the go-ahead, along with the chief of police. They had already come out and said that these kids, like, they were absolutely 100% responsible, as they all
No.
did own up to it.
No.
And that's why
they
took
were
out the first big
wait. They were exonerated based upon DNA evidence, and
Years later.
Donald Trump did not acknowledge it after the point in which they were exonerated.
No, at that time they. So what? Did he have to?
Yes,
Did Jesse James and Al Sharpton?
he did after, and he called for it. And I don't know who those people are, so I'm just not
You
sure.
don't know who Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson are?
No, I'm not familiar very much.
You don't know who Al Sharpton is?
The name sounds familiar, but I'm not very familiar with
Are-
who they are specifically.
Are you? Come on, Parker. You're fucking with me right now a little bit, right now. Like Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, like they're like the Reverend Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, like very famous like evangelist for the black community, top like grifter, always out there whenever something bad happens. You know Al Sharpton.
Wait, why do you say grifter?
Oh, because every single time something bad happens within the black community, he's there, but then he kind of off for everything else. You know what I mean? So like,
Wait.
I'm not a fan of
I'm
him.
sorry. How does that make so? Wait, you say someone specifically involved that makes them a grifter? How does that make them a grifter?
Oh no, I'm just saying like throughout the years, you know what I mean? Like not so much just for the Central Park Five, but the Central Park Five is just one example. It could be like George Floyd, or it could be like every single thing after that. You know what I mean? And like he, essentially he's one of those people who does come in and he turns a buck, and like him and Donald Trump actually were great friends. Like actually even back in the 70s, which you alluded to, where he was not renting to black people, where actually he was I think his actual
Wait.
Mar-Lago, he was the first person to actually start renting to Jews and blacks.
Can you wait? Don't say that. Use black people specifically. But here,
That's what I meant.
can you address the fact that this doesn't take away from the fact that Donald Trump is a racist? Can you address that
He's
Donald
not
Trump?
racist.
Can you address the specific situations that I specifically brought up?
Okay, well then you must think that Biden's a racist then too.
I do think that Donald Trump or Biden has done things that are racist.
Okay,
Absolutely, but I think that he's
what's the
also.
difference between him
I
and Trump?
also do think that he's acknowledged racism on behalf of himself to a different standard and degree that Donald Trump specifically has. But
Can I have an example of what you mean by that?
Wait, I would, yeah, specifically like he's acknowledged times where he's done racist behaviors. He's apologized for them, and he's actively
Which
himself
parts? Like
tried to
I'll
do
put y'all
better
in
and
chains,
advocate.
or like
And
the
hold up.
racial
Can I?
jungle, or
Can
which
I?
is it?
Am I able to address these things or no?
Yes, absolutely. I want to hear it. I'm actually very curious.
Yeah, so in terms of this, like he actually like actively apologized for things, actively tried to address those behaviors, actively advocated against those types of things, right? Given
Okay,
that
we're
he
asking
did
which one.
start, hold up, can I please finish? Given that he
Yes, sir.
specifically did those types of things, I would acknowledge in of itself that that's different than how Donald Trump responded to it, given that he never addressed the behavior, he never acknowledged it being bad, and he never advocated against those types of things. Does that make sense?
Okay. It makes perfect sense, but I'm just wondering which behaviors did he apologize for?
The comments he made about like if you don't vote for me, you aren't black, like that specific
Oh, okay,
comment,
yeah. On
which is
Charlemagne the God,
clearly
yeah,
a
I saw that.
racist comment.
Yeah, it was just kind of like funny. It's just a man with dementia, you know.
I mean, we don't have evidence that he has dementia. He's been diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah, and that's horrible, actually. And I'm very, very sad to hear that, actually, you know, because like as much as like, you know, I'm not a Democrat or anything, but the last thing I want to see is anybody, you know, sick. But at the exact same time, isn't it like, didn't he get tested and like get a full physical like right before Kamala kind of like stepped in? Like, isn't he at stage 4 cancer right now? Like, that's like pretty far along. Like, do you ever feel that maybe people within the Democratic Party were perhaps kind of using him and pushing him along until they saw that he couldn't really handle himself after the debate?
Okay. Obviously, in terms of Joe Biden, like people acknowledged that he had more cognitive decline at that point, and more people were willing to
Yes.
say that he shouldn't be in that position. I was saying this well before, all right, and obviously
Really? Okay.
acknowledge this, but I can also still acknowledge, even in the standpoint that Joe Biden's at right now, he's still better than Donald Trump. All right,
Well,
I
that's
was
not really
like,
true
I'm
at all because
serious. I totally
do you
would
even know
take Joe Biden the
where
state
is
he's
Joe
right
Biden
now.
right now? Where is Joe Biden right now?
I don't know where the location of Joe Biden is. Do you want me to tell you what
No, I
his
know, neither does
IP
he. Like, that's
or
the
his
thing.
location? Like I don't know if I don't know what.
No, I know, but like, would you
Probably
actually
where he
want him
normally
like, right
lives.
now? Would you want him handling this situation right now, like within Iran and everything? And like, would you think that Joe Biden would be doing a better job than what Trump has done?
I prefer that than to Donald Trump. Yes,
Really?
and
Okay.
yeah, obviously.
Would you prefer
And
that to Kamala Harris?
what no, I prefer Kamala Harris over Joe
Joe
Biden.
Biden.
Yeah,
Oh,
obviously,
okay. Well, that's okay.
obviously.
Cool. What makes okay? That's that's interesting. Yeah, but agree to disagree. So that's just kind of where we are and stuff like that. But do you not think that Donald Trump deserves even the slightest bit of recognition for how he handled this and how nobody American-wise was hurt, and these were targeted spots that were taken out, and now we actually really don't have to worry about a nuclear threat from perhaps a threat that is maybe something that we are kind of undermining and not thinking it is as serious as we thought it was type thing. Is they do chant to America every single day, and like they hate us, so do you give Donald Trump any recognition for the way he did it?
No, he pulled us out of the nuclear peace agreement, which is what led to the circumstance where we're at right now. Also, in terms of the enrichment, they're at 60%, right? That's not at the point in which they are able to get nuclear weapons, not even close at this point, right? Secondly, it is the case that where he blew up, right? Some of the facilities that they got the enriched enriched uranium out of those areas before they even sent the bombs. So
okay, well,
like they only
said
no, it doesn't. No, it didn't. What?
Well, of course it does, because you just said like there's nothing that like there's like they're getting knocked back, but they're not getting knocked back, and they didn't have anything that we hit, but like the uranium got out. Like,
what is this guy saying?
According to Ben Shapiro, we knocked him back 10 years, according to him.
No, that's just not. That's not true. That's not true. What good evidence? What good evidence do you have?
I saw you, by the way, debate Ben Shapiro, which I was very impressed because he's kind of he's a shark, and that wasn't bad, But he said that 10 years, like that, and maybe forever,
I don't think Ben Shapiro is an accurate source for that.
Why is that?
Because there's no good evidence indicating that it's 10 years. Would you like to provide a single source indicating that?
I just told you Ben Shapiro is my source.
Ben Shapiro is not a source.
Okay, well, so how far do you think it was knocked back just by them going in and like they scientists and like all the things, like you just said they saved the uranium, thank God, but like how long do you think, or how far do you think they push back a potential, maybe, actual nuclear threat to somebody in the Western world?
You know, since we're just citing, people that we know, Dean Withers from the Dean Withers show, he said it was
Yeah,
he said it was 3 months.
3 months. Okay. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah. So like, if we're just citing people we know, Dean said it was.
Okay, yeah.
Dean Withers said it was 3 months.
So either way, I think that right now, I think Trump is doing a bang up job. I think it's very okay. Better question. Candace Owens, is she gone so far right she's turned left?
There's just certain things that people on the left agree with her on. I don't think she's on the left now. Of course not.
No, she's definitely not on the left. But like, what do you think? What's your take on her? I'm actually curious.
Like, I pretty much disagree with her on most things, but when it comes to right, like Palestine, it seems like we agree with her.
I know, right? And I'm the exact opposite. Like, switch it backwards. You know what I mean? So it's really interesting to see how things are kind of falling together right now. And it's a very interesting time for politics, but at the exact same time, like, don't you think we are living in probably a better space than we were 5 years ago? Right when COVID hit, and now that Trump's in it, as much as like people hate Trump and want to be after him and stuff like that, like, he does seem to, there's 77 million people that voted for him, and there's lots of people that love him. And as far as I'm concerned, there's not that many people are too disappointed with what happened with this Iranian situation. And I just think that, like, don't you think this is a perfect time for, like, maybe the right, left, everybody to sort of, I don't know, maybe come together and, like, I don't know, like,
you got to not support insane lunatics, and maybe we can. Stacy, thank you for the $11.11. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Is that my girlfriend? I better not. Stacy, did you give him $11?
Never.
I think that was your girlfriend.
Thanks.
I think it was there, actually. I think she's looking down and laughing. And so she's looking down and laughing.
Stacy said, "Keep kicking ass with MAGA fools."
Did you do that? Oh,
yep.
I knew it. I knew it.
And I get mad at you when you do. So no, I would never.
I knew she did it. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, man.
I do have to get off here. Is there anything else you'd like to bring up?
Good talk.
All right. Appreciate you coming up.
All right, man. Maybe and until next time. All right.
All right, for sure. You should watch back this debate. Maybe it'll change your mind.
Say bye to me.
Say bye to my girl really quick.
Bye bye.
Bye, Stacy. All right. Bye, Parker. Later.
Alrighty.